Welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast, an Australian twist on all things NFL. The boys are cracking into a nice cold beer from Burnley Brewing. Let's join them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, JA, and I am joined on a Saturday evening by the great man, Richie and JA. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, James. How are you?
Look, I'm excited. We're in Saturday night before. Obviously, we're in Australia, so anyone watching from overseas, we're in Australia. So it's a Saturday night here, waiting for the games at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. The first game to start for the playoffs. You know me, Richie. I'm always sad that football's ending, but excited for the playoffs. I'm kind of torn all the time because we are winding down the season, but it's also the best part of the season as well. And some pretty good games coming up tomorrow.
There certainly are. I think the NFC games are certainly the pick of the bunch, but I'm looking forward to 6 games in the first round of the playoffs rather than the traditional 4. I'm really excited for this. I'm glad the NFL's done it.
It is weird, and we talked about it Tuesday night on our usual podcast where we avoided previewing the games because we knew this was coming up. Where in the NFC, it's probably not great. The Bears getting in, I could take or leave that. But I really like it in the AFC where a team like the Colts are getting in. Unfortunately, the Dolphins, it was still a 10-6 team that missed out in the AFC, which is pretty insane. It's pretty rare that happens. But
we talked about it all preseason. 10 wins usually get you in.
Yeah, 100%. So it'll be very odd. Look, we're not going to spend a ton of time on each game, just a bit of an opinion on how we feel. A couple of the games aren't great, and I think that's probably a good way to segue into the first game tomorrow morning, which is the Colts at the Bills. Colts, again, sneaking in with a 7 seed with 11 wins. It feels ridiculous that an 11-win team is such a big underdog against the Bills, but I could make an argument that the Buffalo Bills are the hottest team in the NFL right now. I don't think anyone would want to play them at the moment, the way they're rolling. Josh Allen's turned into a bona fide star. His improvement from, remember last year in the playoffs, they lost to Houston, which no one thought they would. And in the second half of that game, he was a train wreck. He made dumb mistake after dumb mistake after dumb mistake. And, he kind of cost them that game. And his turnaround in the offseason and this season, especially in a COVID where they couldn't really get together, Josh Allen's turnaround and what he's turned into is something I didn't think he could ever be this good. And he's playing really well. And this is, we'll find out in the next few years if this is kind of a lot of quarterbacks have that kind of 1 year, Rich. We've talked about it. Derek Carr, Andy Dalton even had that massive year before he hurt his wrist. Derek Carr again got hurt. Is this the guy that's going to go into the playoffs hot that doesn't get hurt? And we see him roll home, starting with the Colts, who are a good defense, but I just don't think they're going to be able to score enough to keep up with this Bills offense. I don't think anything can stop it.
It's really interesting. One thing I did not know, the Colts are ranked top 10 offense and defense. So I'll be honest, that surprised me. I knew they had a decent offensive unit. I didn't realize the defense was quite that good. And as you said, they've won plenty of games. Yeah, they've won plenty of games this year. But I tend to agree. The Bills have been red hot this year. Adding Stephon Diggs has been just so good for Allen, having a genuine weapon. And then even a guy like Cole Beasley, I mean, you know about him, obviously, but having a guy like that who is going to be in the right place every single time, he's going to run his sharp route. He's not taking the top off the defense, but he's doing his job. And
second All-Pro.
Yeah, he had a really good season. So
I'm sorry, I've got to talk about the All-Pro. This is the actual All-Pro team. So in the second team, they didn't put a tight end in, and Cole Beasley got in instead because of the.
I don't like that.
I'm like, what are you doing? So what Darren Waller does? Darren Waller didn't have a better year than Cole Beasley. Completely off topic, but man, some of those award guys, they just think too hard about it. They just do. They just overthink it.
I accept that there probably shouldn't be a starting fullback in the All-Pro team anymore. But
they're 2 running backs now.
Yeah, but there should certainly be a tight end.
Yeah, and Kelsey was a unanimous first. Maybe that's why. Maybe because he got all the tight end votes.
Yeah, every single one.
So you're telling me Cole Beasley, someone put Cole Beasley as their starting. I'm sorry. Look, we're off topic. Anyway, Cole Beasley had a nice year. And I think he's a bit dinged up. I think he's playing, but he's a bit hurt. Stefan Diggs didn't practice this week. Look, Richie, give me a scenario where you can see the Colts winning this. Because there is some.
Look, there is. Not counting injuries. Because if you want me to give you a scenario, Allen gets hurt. But to give you a real one.
Could Allen melt down?
No, obviously. But let's turn it the other way. So let's not say they won because something went wrong with the Bills. Let's say what went right for the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Rivers has one last Rivers day.
Oh,
where he goes back to the Rivers we remember when he was with Tomlinson and Gates and all those guys, and he just goes off and he has a 30+ completion, 350+ yards and 4 touchdowns. That's the scenario where they win.
And they generate a couple of turnovers on defense and just get an early lead and ride it out. The interesting guy, Jonathan Taylor, who, the rookie running back, ended up having a massive finish to the season. I don't know. He ended up having a huge year, which is good because, again, proves the point that you just don't pay running backs. You just draft a new one. You just draft a new one every second year if you want one in the second or third round, really. It's not hard. But I guess that's the only scenario I see. And I don't know. I just don't think it could happen. I love Phillip Rivers. He's a Hall of Famer in my eyes. He's more deserving than a lot of other guys in the Hall of Fame. I hope him never winning a Super Bowl doesn't hold them back. I hope he comes back next year and plays for the Colts. I think it's been a great marriage this year. It's been one of those off-season moves which, you look back on and go, great move by Phillip Rivers and great move by the Colts. He's been a veteran leader and they've won 11 games. But I just think the Bills are too hot right now. I can't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor had a great final game, but it was against the Jags. He ripped off 250 yards or something. And I think his average in December was close to 6 yards per carry. So the stats are a little skewed by that final game against the Jags, but still, he's in really good form. So, look, can it happen? Yes, of course it can. It's the NFL. Will it? I don't think so. I'm all over the Bills this week.
Yeah, me too. And I'll leave it on this with why the Bills are going to win. The Bills have won 7 of their last 8 games, and all 7 of the wins have been by more than 10 points. And do you know what the loss was, Richie? DeAndre Hopkins catching the end zone.
Oh, when he got
that's the only game they've lost in the second half.
Murrayed.
I'm sorry, that's pretty hot. There's no hotter team than that right now, the way they're playing. So Bills all the way for the Vault Studio. Let's move on to the next game. We're just going in time order, guys. And it is the LA Rams at Seattle Seahawks. We were just talking before, Rich. Just quietly, Rams' '1 defense in the league. They went about that real quietly. I knew they were good. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, both unanimous all-team, all-pro players. Definitely no arguments there, especially from Donald. Man, that guy is just he's a different animal out there. But the big question we were talking about is Jared Goff going to play? And we're literally, 10 hours out from the game starting? Oh, no, this is a bit longer. So 14 hours out, and he's listed as questionable still. They're still not sure if he's going to play. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that either he doesn't play, or if he does play, he's not 100% right.
Well, it's fractured, so it's broken. That's what a fracture is. So that does not heal in 2 weeks. Anyone who's broken a bone knows it's 6. That's just how bones heal. So he's obviously not going to be right. I know he had some surgery and they pinned and all the rest of it, but it's going to be game time. I'm telling you, he will be suited up, ready to go. And he will be out there in warm-ups throwing footballs, and it will really come. They will come and ask him, "How do you feel?"
Yeah.
If he says, "I'm good," they'll start him. If he says, "You know what? It hurts like shit, and I can't get any spin on the ball," he won't play. It'll be as simple as that. It will be an absolute last-minute decision. It'll be literally when they hand in the piece of paper with the inactives on it.
Yep.
Even then, it would not surprise me if he was the active backup. Just to leave it to the absolute last second. I mean, he'll be shut up with painkillers, but trying to throw a football when you can't really feel your thumb, so you can't jack him up with painkillers too hard.
No, you can't
you
feel
lose the feeling. And so it'll be really interesting.
Richie, it's the one thing that helps us throw it. It's what makes us different to every other animal in the world.
Yeah, the opposing thumb.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. And then we're going to get John Walford if he can't go. I know he was fine last week against Arizona. They're an average team. The Rams won that game on a pick six. That's what turned that game. And they won, and the defense could do it again. And I guess that leads me to my big question on Seattle is what Seattle are we getting? Because for the first half of the season, this was a top 5 offense. They're now right middle of the pack in offense, but their defense has turned it around. Jamal Adams has, gradually grasped his role in that defense, and much to my pleasure, because I love him, has turned into a superstar, another All-Pro at the safety. But he's almost playing like a linebacker hybrid safety position where he pass rushes, and they've found a great way to use him. But what Seattle are we going to get? Because I can very realistically see this being like a 17 to 15 scoreline that changes on a big mistake. And if that's what I'm thinking, I have to go with Seattle, because if I'm going to guess anyone's going to make the big mistake, it's either Jared Goff or Wolford over Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's too good a player, even though he's had his difficulties down the stretch. Look,
Russell Wilson's been here before. How many of those Seahawks on that team have all been there before?
There's plenty. There's plenty.
I know.
Missed one playoff run in the past 15 years or whatever, or 10 years, I think it is.
Yeah, and I know there's still a lot of Rams who were in that Super Bowl run too. So, both these two teams are experienced. I would expect, I really want Goff to play in this game and play well, because if he doesn't, I really think this game could be over quick. As you said, last week, look, quarterback, he was fine. He was fine, and it was fun. He was running around. I'm like, hey, I don't mind this guy. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's not Goff, and Goff has his issues too, but he's not Goff. Like, it's as simple as that. I really think this one comes down to it. I think Russell Wilson, there's the huge storyline early in the year for him was he's never received a MVP vote. Go back and look. He shouldn't have.
He's not getting one this year either. I'm sorry.
Correct. Anyway, this year. So, but what he does have an opportunity to do is have a really good playoff run and say, all right, I might not be the MVP, but I'm a pretty bloody good player.
Yep. And he's I reckon he'll cash that in any day of the week. Yeah.
I think he will turn up, and I think the Seahawks will turn up. And that's where my money is. Metcalf is one of the biggest difference makers going around. And
we've seen second-year receivers this year just absolutely jump off the page.
They're everywhere.
AJ Brown's been outstanding. Metcalf's been outstanding. Guys that weren't even the top picks in the draft. We've seen a lot of guys really develop well this year. And Metcalf's one of them. He's a game changer. And I think back now, and I can remember sitting in that draft, Richie, when we were all together, and everyone thinking, oh, he's just a workout hero. That's the worry with him. But, what did everyone not... I had the same argument. I had the same discussion with someone today about Patrick Mahomes. We're not paid, Richie, to go and watch hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of these guys playing. How do guys miss on a guy like DK Metcalf and Patrick Mahomes? And because Metcalf was he was like the 8th receiver taken. And I know it happens a lot, but blows my mind. They get in their own heads, maybe. I don't get it.
No, the biggest thing, Metcalf was asked to just run a lot of streaks. He was asked to go vertical in college all the time because, as we've all seen, he's really fast and super athletic and huge.
Yeah.
So he wasn't really asked to run the route tree in college, and that was his biggest knock coming out was, can he convert? Can he do everything you need to do as an NFL receiver? And that knock, it stuck to him. It was a stank he could not get off.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, it doesn't matter. He's fine. He's a great player. And the Seahawks getting him where they did was just a bargain. But a lot of the times with receivers, it's often how they think they'll suit their system and all these other things, which I always think is a bit crazy because especially if you're the GM, it's not guaranteed that coaching staff's going to be there in 2 years. So go get the best player.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, the knock was all he can do is go vertical. Now it turns out he can do a lot of stuff. So,
we did have a good comment from the great man Daniel Noonan. Ramsey owns DK. He did slow him down when they played a couple of times this year. I think one game Metcalf did score a touchdown and actually played all right against him. But Yeah, there's also that matchup as well. You're going to have a guy like Jalen Ramsey, an all-pro corner, and one of the best lockdown corners in the league. Definitely.
It'd be good to watch. Be great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We've seen him go to battle with Hopkins. It's enjoyable watching Ramsey go to battle with someone, and I know it's kind of fun to watch him lose sometimes too, if you ask me.
Right.
Let's roll on to the Buccaneers, and they're at the football team. Can't believe the at football team has got into the playoffs. 7-9 record. They did have a losing record. Richie, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this game, and I'm going to give you the floor with it because these are your babies. You've got your hat on. But all I'm going to say is number 2 defense, Washington. That's fine. Everything's led from their front. They're going against a very good offensive line. So I would say that Washington probably hold that matchup slightly, that they've got that edge in that one area. But we're also forgetting, the Bucs offense is one of the best in the league. It's 7th in the league, top 10 offense. And they're also a really, really good defense. Now, Devin White's not playing tomorrow. It's a bit of a loss. Alex Smith might not play for Washington. There's a chance that he's on the end. So that would mean we get, I think it's Henny is their backup.
Yeah, I can't even remember who it is.
Which isn't good. All I'm saying is I think Tampa Bay could score 10 points and win this game. I think Washington struggle to score more than a touchdown. I really do.
Well,
I don't think this is a blowout.
This is a terrible matchup for Tampa. If you go back and look at all 5 of our losses this year, they've all come against teams who've got a great defensive line and just got in and just messed us up. The Bucs O-line has improved this year compared to previous years, but it's still not there, and it's still a work in progress. And good D-lines mess with us. Chase Young is one of the most impactful rookies I've seen in a long time. He is so special. And if the football team do the right thing, you can build an incredible defense around somebody like that. And that's obviously my biggest concern. Now, if Alex Smith doesn't play, I'll sit back and we're all watching this one together. And I'll just be giggling to myself. It's going to be great. Now, even with Alex Smith,
any chance? They don't take any chances on offense. They really don't. And Alex Smith I love Alex Smith, and he's going to be a comeback player, and the story's great. Don't get me wrong. But we're talking purely football right now, and this guy, I don't care about his story. And you know what? Do you know who doesn't care about his story? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They couldn't give a crap about his story. They're going to come after him. They blitz heavy, which is something they do very well. They generate a lot of pressure, and you're against a team in Washington that don't take chances throwing it downfield. Like, are they going to take a chance one-on-one with Terry McLaurin? I don't think Alex Smith can. So I don't think it's going to happen.
The problem is, even if they call it, Alex Smith isn't going to throw it. This is his been MO, and I feel like I've been complaining about him since we started this podcast, God knows how many years ago. All I've done is complained about Alex Smith, and they go, his completion percentage is great, and he's got a good ranking and all the rest of it. Yeah, of course he does. Because if he throws it 4 yards every single play, you're going to get a lot of completions, and you're not going to get first downs, and you're not going to win football games, but you are going to pile up stats. So he hasn't taken chances. I mean, and you say you love him and all the rest of it. I don't like Alex Smith. I never have. I'm sure he's a fine bloke. Don't get me wrong there. But as a football player, I don't like him. Never have.
It's like Anthony, hate the coach, love the guy. He seems like a great guy, but unfortunately he's a shitty coach, so he got fired. And Alex Smith is not a good quarterback. He never really has been. Had a couple of years in Kansas City where he was dynamic, but that was play calling and dumping it off and big players.
And let's not forget, he was benched for Kaepernick, and he was benched for Mahomes at the end of the day. Both guys who used to throw it down the field and would take chances and could run around and do different things. He is what he is and has been for a very long time. This is going to be his final year. I think he just wanted to prove he could come back from it. Like, he's ancient. He's almost as old as I am. So I agree. I love the story. He is the comeback player of the year. I'm so glad he came back. I mean, there was a chance he lost his leg at one point. There's a chance he was going to die at one point. Like, it was so bad. Yeah. But all that being said,
he might feel more pain tomorrow than what he felt during the surgeries. The Bucs are going to come after him. Bruce Arians is not afraid. He will come after him. The Bucs should not be worried about this guy. Oh, they should come in ready to go, but they have a real chance to strike some fear into this league tomorrow because everyone is thinking the Bucs, they're going to have that, the Giants almost got them earlier in the year. They're going to have that game where they struggle for the first half and just put it together, and then, they're in a lull for the next few weeks. If they come out tomorrow and just beat the living crap out of Washington, which I think they're going to, they're going to stamp their authority and go, here we come. We're here. Also, I don't want to brag or anything or, highlight too much. Their quarterback's kind of good in the playoffs. a pretty good history in the playoffs. He's got
a good record, got a lot of wins.
Do you know he's got the same amount of Super Bowls as every other quarterback put together in this playoff run right now?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Fun fact. Let's move on. Before we do move on to the Ravens-Titans, I want to thank our magnificent friends at Burnley Brewing. I'm having the draft right now, Richie. It's just, with each sip, I feel better and better about myself and my life. You know what I mean? Just one of those sorts of things. It's delightful.
It's an outstanding all-rounder.
Yeah, so thank you to Burnley Brewing and thank you to Breaking Oz Memorabilia. Our Patreon guys, we discussed during the week that that's stopped now, but this is the helmet that they're getting the chance to win, and it will be up to fill the rest of the spots on Breaking Oz Memorabilia. So head over there, and this is a ripper. It's a Deshaun Watson helmet, which if I were you guys, got the visor on it, all the bumpers. Richie, you're a helmet salesman. Those bumpers are all pretty cool. If you're a Texans fan, try and get into that break and maybe do it soon, because who knows how long Watson will be around. There's some nasty rumors at the moment, but we'll see. Let's get on, though, to the Ravens at Titans. This is now Monday, Australian time, Sunday in America, and I'm not sure, it's late at night on Sunday night in Europe, I believe. But we've got the Ravens at the Titans. This is probably one of the most interesting games. To me, the Ravens are the much better team, much better team at the moment. The Titans, let's not forget, they had to go almost into overtime to beat the Houston Texans last week, who aren't a very good team. So they had to do that last week, which was tough. I love the Titans offense. I love Derrick Henry. He's 2,000 yards. We can't say it anymore, but I'm just wondering how the Titans, because if he just gets in a shootout, I think the Ravens will win it because they'll be able to control the clock, and the Ravens will generate some defensive plays because they're much stronger on defense. So I think this is all advantage of the Ravens for this game. Even the only thing it's not is it's on the road.
The second half of the year, the Ravens defense has just come on in leaps and bounds versus earlier in the year, and it makes a huge difference. And Lamar Jackson, we were all talking earlier in the year that, what's wrong with him? What's going on here? And everyone's still trying to work it out. He's come good in the last few weeks. I know they've played some pretty rubbish teams. I think Cowboys, Giants, Jags, I think even Cincinnati are in there. So I know they've played some lower competition. But and they're tune-up games. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not exactly proving yourself, but you're feeling good about yourself. You're playing well. You're going, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fit, all the rest of it. And I'm putting up stats and everything's going great. We're winning. And I think all that matters for something. For mine, there is only one. That's funny. There's only one.
Very good, Noonan.
Yeah, very good. There's only one thing that Baltimore need to do. Completely take away Derrick Henry and lose to Tannehill. If you're going to lose, you can't lose to Henry. You have to lose to Tannehill.
And he has done that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I think this game is a very good game. You've got the number 1 and number 2 rushing attacks going. This will be a quick game. This is not going to be a 4-hour event. They're going to be running the ball hard. And I don't know. Everything's pretty even for these teams except for the defenses. You've got one of the worst. The Titans are one of the worst defenses in the league. They generate almost zero pass rush. They're a bad defense. There's no other way to say it. And I just think that Ravens have got the upper hand in this. And I think they're going to win it. And they're going to win it in a close one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but Ravens, I'm very high on the Ravens. I think they can go all the way. But again, this is probably one of the closest games of the week, I think. I think this game's very, very close.
Yeah, you're looking 21-23, something like that.
And probably a turnover costs it. And if you've got, again, Ravens better defense and Tannehill, I'm not fully confident that he's going to grasp the situation. But then again, they knocked the Patriots last year. Vrabel's proved he's from his short playoff experience. He's proved he's a very good playoff head coach. The only thing that stopped them last year was the Chiefs, and they're again an 11-win team. So it's hard to sit back and say the Ravens are going to win easy. This is going to be a wild game. If my money go, it's on the Ravens. It has to be. And
there's a revenge factor here too. Let's not forget, Titans went in their last playoffs and knocked them off. Yep. So the Ravens have got something to play for here, and quite frankly, they need to turn up because they were embarrassed in that last playoff run.
I know what Brock's problem with the Eagles is.
Same one all of us have.
So, but yeah, look, I agree with you, Brock, but it's in not really in the right context right now. We're talking Ravens Titans. Let's move on to a game I just can't wait for, and that's the Bears go and visit the Saints. If you don't know how I feel about the Chicago Bears already, you haven't been within like 6 kilometers of me because I can't stand them. I think they're a dreadful football team. I think Trubisky he's just putting up a mirage so they give him another year and don't sign another quarterback and go through the same loop again. I am not higher on any other game. I'm not more, how I put this. I'm struggling to put it out of the house. The Saints are going to win this so easily, and I'm confident on it than anything else. I just think the Saints are going to win this game quite comfortably. They are so much better than them.
Yeah. I don't even want to bother breaking this game down because what is it to break down? The Bears'
11th ranked defense is fine, but they're a good run defense. Are they going to be able to stop? Like if they can't run, let's think about the Saints and Peyton, right? If you come in and go, we're just going to stop Kamara. That's our goal. We're going to crush Kamara, stop him running the ball. Like, okay, cool. We're just going to put Kamara in receiver spot and just dump him the ball while you're stacking the box against Murray. We're just going to dump off the ball to Kamara for space, get him in space. And Peyton can do it. He knows how to generate guys into position. They're going to get Michael Thomas back from injury. And it's at home in the Superdome. Like Chicago, it's not cold, windy Chicago. It's not going to be the weather. The weather's not going to help you like it does normally with your defense. You're going to have to go in and beat them on a really, really clean surface. And again, I'm more confident about the Saints winning this. And if the Saints lose this, I will be so gutted. I cannot see the Saints losing it. I'm sorry, Bears fans. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I really don't. Has Kamara cleared all the COVID protocol yet?
Yeah, he's back.
He is available. Yeah,
I'm looking at the injuries right now. The Saints have no one out. Yeah, they've got a backup guard, and actually, they're DM Trey Hendrickson, who led the team in sacks this year. He's a handy player, but again, I don't think this game gets won by the Saints defense. I think this game gets won by the Saints offense destroying them. To be honest, so we'll see. I said I've been shocked before, and I'll be shocked again. But if any game's going to shock me this weekend, I can't believe it's going to be this one. Scott Anthony, our main man, Scotty. Tigers, Storm, Lockie Neal, and Ravens. If he gets the Ravens Super Bowl, he's got some big dollars coming his way. That's a long bet.
He needs to lay off that.
Yeah, can you pay out? That's tough.
The AFC is competitive. You should be laying off that.
Yeah, I don't know what laying off means, but if you can somehow get your money back, do it.
No, Jesus, you're hopeless.
No, I do. It's just a bit. It's a bit. Okay, it's all good. Let's move on to the last game of the weekend, or the weekday, I should say. We've got the Browns at Steelers. This game was revving up to be the best one of the week, but then our good friend that just can't stay in 2020 and leave us the fuck alone has to follow us into 2021 and hit the Cleveland Browns with a COVID outbreak. And it's not so much the players that are not going to play, but Kevin Stefanski, their coach, who I think in the next couple of days, I don't know when it's announced, is going to be named Coach of the Year. I think he very well deserved what he's done.
Day before the Super Bowl.
There you go. I think he'll be named Coach of the Year. He's absolutely turned around this awful, awful franchise that were the laughing stock of the league no less than 2 years ago. He's been tested positive for COVID, so he will not be in this game. And then if they win this game, I don't think he'll be in the next game either. So he's a long way off. I
think the special team. Hang on, I'm sure I saw it. So the special teams coordinator is taking over as the head coach, Mike Prefer.
Oh,
This saddens me. I actually think this was going to be one of the best games of the weekend. It was obviously they play each other twice a year. They just played last week. I really did feel like this was going to be one of the best games of the weekend, and now I'm really concerned that they're not going to come in with the same prep. He's a good play caller on his feet as well, and yeah, I'm just worried that the Browns D didn't look great last week. I mean, Mason Rudolph looked almost competent last week against them.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit concerned.
That edge back. Maybe Rudolph can send him like a nasty message or something just to get him back fired up again.
Send him a nasty tweet.
Yeah, fire Garrett up again. He's, you know what? I'm going to tweet at Myles Garrett tonight and be like, you know what? You broing with Rudolph last week was a real weak act. Show us what you've got. But I'm terrified he'll rock up at my door. And remember that photo of him with like the 15-year-old kids when he was in high school? I'll look even more petite next to him than they did. That's what I'm worried about now. So I won't tweet at him. He's terrifying. Can I give you some fun facts, Richie? It's just all stack against the Browns. The Browns' last road win in Pittsburgh was in week 5. In 2003, Baker Mayfield was 8 years old. The Steelers are 35-7-1 versus the Browns since 2000, including playoffs, which was one game. The Browns have not won a playoff game since 1994, the 4th longest active streak in the NFL. Do you know who the coach was for the Browns then, Richard?
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. And the defensive coordinator was Nick Saban. Just a fun fact.
I actually knew that.
And the Steelers have allowed 14 sacks this season, the fewest allowed in a single season on 650 pass attempts in the Super Bowl era. So their O-line's very good. Roethlisberger gets rid of the ball. They played pretty well last week with a bunch of backups. They've given Roethlisberger a week off. All this calculated into Kevin Stefanski? Yeah, Kevin Stefanski not being available and some other guys, which we're skipping over, which is still important. I can't go against the Steelers here. And don't get me wrong, if the Browns win this game, I'm not going to be upset about it. I think I'd be great for them. But you're going to ask Baker to do a lot of things. And, yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to do it without Stefanski there. Because I'm going to go back to last year and the year before and when he wasn't there and go, well, is that the Baker we're going to get?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, that's my biggest worry. As I said at the start of this game, I'm just sad. Like, it shouldn't.
Your household's going to suck Monday night. Or you know what? Or it could be you're either going to have the greatest night Monday night or a real flat one, real flat, low key. Just maybe don't talk to me too much. You know?
I think. Well, when they all started getting declared with COVID, she was already starting to think this is it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of ranting and raving going on.
Our good mate JKR's commented, the universe doesn't want the Browns to win a playoff game. They have Detroit's curse. I agree with you on the universe, JKR, but they can't have Detroit's curse because Detroit are not giving that up. Over their cold, dead fingers are they giving up that curse. Detroit will actually ever.
I think it's gone the other way. I think Detroit's caught what
the Browns used
to have.
Detroit are just dreadful. I can remember back Detroit's last playoff game was against the Cowboys and they had that dreadful pass interference that was called, and it definitely was pass interference on the Cowboys, and they called it back, and then the Cowboys won, and then Dez called it the next week against Green Bay. We won't go into that though. But Detroit have had a shocking run, but no worse than the Browns have for the past few years. So just to reiterate, Richie, I think we're both taking the Bills and Colts are Bills.
Yeah.
Both got Seahawks.
Unless some miracle Goff plays, but even if he does, he's not going to be right.
I've got the Bucks, and you've taken Washington, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
That big barn burner. Are you taking Ravens or Titans? I'm taking Ravens. This is the toughest one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the Ravens are the hottest team out of these two right now.
Yeah.
This could go either way, and I won't be surprised in the least. I think it's got the best chance to be the best game. But if I had to put my money where my mouth is, I think it's going on the Ravens.
Yep. We both take the Saints comfortably. I don't think there's anything out there. And Rich, I'm taking the Brownies. I don't care. I'm taking them. You know what? I'm going out on a whim. I'm going to give them a chance. I'm going with my heart. I don't care. Steelers have won enough. Let's let the Browns get in, and let's let Stefanski coach a game next week. Let's get it sorted. Let's be honest. The NFL was screwing them. They didn't even consider pushing the game back in any way. They didn't care whatsoever.
Well, the hardest thing for that, it's not going to matter. He's not going to clear COVID in a day.
No, not if he's tested positive, unless it's a false negative, which would then mean they'd have to push it to like Thursday, and then you're into next week. Like, you can't.
Oh, you can't.
You can't do it. You can't just reschedule the game for later. So it sucks. It's come at the worst time for the Browns, and it's disappointing. But you know what? The way they played last week, even though it was Steelers backups, the Steelers aren't really like a hot team right now either. Let's.
No, they've had their issues too.
Yeah, so they got hot against the Colts a couple of weeks ago, and everyone thinks they're back. I'm not totally sold. I think the week off Roethlisberger will help, but I'm taking a chance on the Browns, Rich. Let Lisa know I took the Browns and you took the Steelers, so I'm in the good books, please. That'd be nice. Thank you.
Done.
All right, that's it for us, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This isn't going up as a podcast. This is what we're going to be doing every week during the playoffs, just a live show on either a Saturday or a Sunday, depending on time frame. Richie, thanks for jumping on and doing this with me, mate. I know it was we've been jumping in and out. Christmas time, mate, it sucks. It's so hard to organise everything. Everyone's away, and so thanks for jumping on last minute and helping me out with it. And guys, if your team's playing tomorrow, one thing I'm going to say to you is enjoy it. It's really fun having a team. Like, it's nerve-wracking, but don't let it ruin it. Actually enjoy the moment. If your team loses, what's the worst thing? They lose. Get ready for next year. It doesn't matter. Only one team can win it. And if you're lucky enough to get your team into that Super Bowl, just enjoy the moment. Enjoy watching them in the playoffs, because us 49ers fans, they thought they were a shoo-in to be in the playoffs this year, and they're not. They played in the Super Bowl last year. They were the number one seed and looked like they should have won a Super Bowl if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes' brilliance. So, and then they're not there this year. And who knows when they get back. Now, ask Jacksonville. They were in the AFC Championship game 3 seasons ago. They were in it. And they're now, they got the number one overall pick, and they're probably going to hire Urban Meyer. Is
that really going to happen?
Well, they interviewed him. We'll say. We'll save that for next week. Eric Bieniemy's interviewed at every team so far. So
I wouldn't, if I was him, I wouldn't have bothered taking that Lions interview.
I think he interviewed everywhere except Houston, believe it or not.
Interesting.
So maybe he's trading. Maybe he's going to trade for Watson wherever he goes. Who knows? I can't wait. I can't wait for that to unfold. That story is going to be the hottest story all off season. Then nothing will happen.
Yeah, probably.
Or they'll trade him for a second round pick like Hopkins. But that's it for us, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and best of luck tomorrow with all your bets, all your teams. If you're not in the teams, enjoy it. Have a few beers and enjoy the game. And if you are having a beer, I would definitely recommend Burnley Brewing. And if you are going to buy some signed helmets, I would definitely recommend Breaking Oz Memorabilia. Richie, thanks again, mate, and see you Tuesday night for the podcast.
I'll see you tomorrow. Watch the games.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow for the games. See you.